The 2026 West Bengal election, well, it's not just another political contest. It's actually shaping up to be one of the most intense constitutional conflicts in recent Indian history. We're talking about a situation where the very rules of the game are being fought over, in the streets, in government offices, and even in the nation's highest courts. So let's break down what's really going on here. And it all kicks off with this number. Get this, before anyone's even gone to the polls, nearly 9 million people, that's more than the entire population of Switzerland, have been just deleted from West Bengal's electoral rolls. So how on earth did that happen? And what does it mean for an election that starts with millions of its voters simply missing? All right, so here's how we're going to break this whole thing down. First, we're going to look at the system itself and see why it's under so much pressure. Then we'll dig into the story of those missing voters. After that, we'll see how this whole fight has spilled out onto the streets. And finally, we'll unpack why this is truly an election on trial. So let's start with the institutions that are supposed to be the guardians of a fair election. In West Bengal, the referees, like the Election Commission of India, the ECI, are being accused of actually becoming players in the game. And that, as you can imagine, fundamentally changes everything. And this quote right here, it just nails the current climate. It's not just about winning votes anymore. Nope, we're talking about an all-out battle where every administrative tool, every legal challenge, every public space has basically become a weapon. The system isn't just stressed, it's become the battlefield. Okay, so let's dive into that explosive issue I mentioned earlier, the missing voters. This isn't some abstract idea. This is a real, tangible fight over the most basic document in any democracy, the list of who actually gets to cast a vote. The whole thing stems from a process called the Special Intensive Revision, or SIR. Now, on paper, it sounds pretty straightforward, right? It was an exercise by the Election Commission, the ECI, that required all voters to resubmit their details, just to create a clean, verified list. But in reality, the consequences have been anything but ordinary. And wow, the sheer scale of this is just staggering. The voter base shrank from roughly 7.66 crore people down to 7.04 crore. But here's the kicker. An extra 6 million people have had their voting rights put under adjudication. Their ability to vote is now stuck in a kind of legal limbo, waiting to be decided by special tribunals after the Supreme Court had to step in. And this is where one administrative act creates two totally opposite realities. The ruling party, the Trinamool Congress, or TMC, is calling this voter hijacking. They see it as a deliberate plot to disenfranchise their core supporters. But on the other side, the Bharatiya Janata Party, the BJP, calls it ensuring sanctity, a crucial process to weed out illegal immigrants and protect the integrity of the vote. Two completely different stories born from the exact same event. A fight like this over the voter list, it was never going to stay behind closed doors. It's now spilling out into the open. It's not just about who gets to vote anymore, but who gets to be seen and who gets to be heard. The fight for the streets has become the next major front in this constitutional war. And right at the heart of this public battle is a serious accusation from Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee. She claims the Election Commission is applying a double standard, that it's showing unequal treatment. She argues that her party and its allies are being systematically denied permission for rallies and protests, while their main rival, the BJP, seems to be getting a free pass. And this table here, it really lays it all out. Just look at the different outcomes. A protest by the ruling TMC gets cut short by the Supreme Court. A rally by a local group gets denied by the Election Commission, but they go ahead anyway. But then look at this last row. When the state police denied a major BJP rally, the High Court actually stepped in and overruled them, giving it the green light. You can start to see why this creates a perception of a double standard. And here's the bottom line. The courts are increasingly stepping in to do the job the ECI is being accused of not doing, acting as a neutral referee for the fundamental democratic right to assemble. This shift from the Election Commission to the courtroom is a really defining feature of this whole conflict. So that brings us to our final section, where we tie all these threads together. Because when the voter rolls are this contested and the institutions themselves are under fire, the very legitimacy of the democratic process in West Bengal is, well, it's on trial. You can almost see it happening in three clear steps. First, the ECI, which should be the neutral umpire, is now seen by one side as an active player for the opposition. That leads to step two. open warfare between the state government and central agencies. And the final result? The judiciary is forced to become the last resort battleground for pretty much every major electoral decision. So, what are the big takeaways from all this? First off, the main fight isn't about policy, it's about who even gets to be a voter. Second, simple administrative tools are being turned into powerful political weapons. Third, this constant need for court intervention has judicialized the whole political process, turning political questions into legal ones. And what that all leads to is this: the true winner of the election might not be decided on polling day, but months later in a courtroom. And that leaves us with one last really big question. When an election is fought this hard in the courtroom, as much as it is at the ballot box, who's the real winner? Is it a political party, or is the winner a system of constant conflict that, slowly chips away at public faith and democracy itself? It's a question with no easy answer, and its impact will be felt long after the 2026 results are finally in.